Same name, wrong bag. Chapter 1. The plane hummed like a soft lullaby, suspended in golden light. Ryan sat by the window, spine straight, gaze adrift. One hand rested on an open book, but he hadn't flipped a page in minutes. Outside, the clouds passed like quiet thoughts, shapeless and slow. He blinked once, the kind of long, tired blink that meant thinking too much again. The world felt far away up here, and maybe that was the point. He didn't need clarity, just distance. One row behind, a hoodie clad figure shifted in his seat, head leaned back, headphones resting loose around his neck. Ray wasn't asleep, not really. He was more like half floating in the dull drone of altitude. He always liked this part of a trip, the in between. No expectations, no pressure to perform, just motion. The air trembled slightly. Ray's arm moved instinctively, brushing the armrest as if grounding himself. They didn't see each other. They were one row, one moment apart. But the same destinations was pulling them in. Bali's airport greeted them like a sauna wrapped in a marble. Too many people, too many signs, too much light. Ryan walked with calm precision. His off white shirt was still pressed, bag held across his chest. His eyes swept the signs, the exits to the exits. He wasn't lost, just careful. That was his way. Be early, be measured, be invisible enough not to be mistaken for someone interesting. Ray, meanwhile, was all relaxed limbs and quiet confidence. He whistled under his breath as he cleared customs, earning a look from a security guard that he returned with an unapologetic smile. His navy hoodie was a little too warm for the tropics, but he didn't mind. It made him feel like himself. Two travelers, different lives, but same initials. R. Kim. At Carousel 4, fate spun like a joke no one saw coming. Ray spotted the bag first. Black canvas, a little worn around the edges, neatly tagged R. Kim. He grabbed it without thinking. Who else could it belong to? 4 seconds later, Ryan did the same. His hand curled around the identical twin of that bag. Same tag, same initials. They passed each other. Again. No eye contact, no spark. Just brushed shoulders, just wrong bag. The hotel room was too quiet when Ryan opened the zipper. The fabric rustled. Familiar and foreign all at once. He froze. Inside, clothes he didn't recognize. A hoodie, a camera strap. Not his. Definitely not his. Ryan held up a shirt. Navy, soft cotton. And exhaled slowly. No, he said quietly. This is not mine. Ray's reveal was a little less elegant. He tossed the bag on the bed, flopped back dramatically, and only noticed the problem when a button-down shirt slid halfway out. He sat up, blinked, frowned. Not his style, not his brand. Definitely not his. And tucked inside was a business card. He turned it over. Ryan Kim. Ray let out a low whistle and flopped back again, staring at the ceiling. Well, he muttered to no one. This just got interesting. Ray looked at the phone number on the business card. I think we switched bags, he texted. A pause. Then, an unknown message. How did you get my number? Back at Ryan's villa, Ryan sat on the edge of the bed, the wrong bag beside him, like a stranger who'd made it inside. There was a card inside. I didn't dig anything else. Ryan stared at the screen for a moment, then typed carefully. Meet at Sarasa Cafe, 10 a.m. He didn't know who this person was, didn't know what he looked like, but somehow it didn't feel like a mistake, just a beginning. The next morning, the sun came early. Sarasa Cafe smelled like roasted beans and sea breeze, tucked beneath swaying palms just off the main road. Ryan sat alone at a round, rotten table, iced coffee sweating beside him. His bag, or rather someone else's, rested against the leg of his chair. He didn't check the time. He didn't fidget. But when the door chime rang, he looked up. Ray stepped inside. His eyes scanned the room once and stopped. Hey, he said, walking forward. Ryan? Ryan nodded once, cautious, but not unfriendly. Ray extended a hand. Ryan took it brief contact, palm to palm. Their eyes met. Neither said anything else, but something shifted. It was subtle, like a breeze had changed direction. They sat across from each other, a rotten table between them, one latte, one iced coffee, two swap bags resting by their feet. Ray sipped his drink first, then slid a bag across the table. Here you go, Ryan. Ryan blinked. How do you know my name? Ray didn't look smug, just amused. I'm Ray Kim. There was a pause, a soft pause, like a coin realizing both sides were the same. That explains it, Ryan said, quieter now. Same design, same initials. Same name, Ray said. Wrong bag. Ryan almost smiled. Almost. Are you hungry? Ray asked, like it wasn't a question that needed weight. Ryan tilted his head. Are you asking me? Ray smiled. Yeah, you. And somehow, it wasn't weird. It wasn't too soon. It just felt like the next step in a rhythm neither of them had been aware of until now. The food came warm and local. Nasi campur, fried egg. Something that looked too spicy but tasted like magic. Ray poked at a bowl with a grin. Wow, this looks good. Ryan was quieter, eating slowly, but relaxed now. You always feed strangers? He asked. Ray leaned forward. Only if they're cute. Ryan looked at him, smirked, looked away. You're kind of good at this. Ray shrugged, like he wasn't trying to be. Time passed the way it does in warm air and soft glances. The breeze pressed against napkins. The food cooled. The tensions didn't grow. It softened. I should get going, Ryan said at last, rising slowly. Ray nodded. Guess I'll see you around. They didn't hug, didn't shake hands again. Ryan just walked toward the street. But just before the corner, he turned. Ray had already turned away. That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He sat on the table, a notebook open. He wrote one word, Ray, then stopped, left the rest of the page blank, closed the book with a quiet sigh. Ray was already out the next morning, wandering a fruit stand, holding a mango, then a lime, then just standing. He looked up, and in the distance was Ryan, not seeing him, just passing by. Ray didn't call out, didn't move, but he smiled a little, like maybe the island was smaller than it looked. When they met again, it wasn't planned. Just one street, two people, same moment again. Ray raised an eyebrow. Same street, same guy. Coincidence? Ryan paused. You tell me, you're the one who stopped. Ray tilted his head. Maybe the street just didn't want to let go. The ocean was nearby. The sand curved gently toward it. Ray led, Ryan followed, but not because he was told to. You followed me this far, Ray said, voice light. I was just walking, Ryan replied. Ray laughed. Uh-huh. Come on, you're already here. They sat side by side at the water's edge, their clothes damp at the hems. The sky soft and wide. You always this bold? Ryan asked. Sitting next to someone you barely know? Only when they don't move away, Ray replied. Guess I won't then. Later, Ray ran into the waves, splashed hard, laughed louder, said something about mystery and jumping in. Ryan stayed behind, smiled, just a little. That evening, Ray was back in the water again, sunlight catching in droplets across his shoulders. His movement slow, unbothered. Ryan watched from the beach. Polaroid camera balanced in his hands. No words, no warning. The shutter snapped. Ray looked up. Were you taking a photo of me? Ryan didn't answer, didn't deny it, just blinked. And maybe smirked. Ray stepped onto the beach, hair damp, towel over one shoulder. He didn't ask again about the photo. He just tilted his head. Doing anything tonight? Ryan shook his head. No plans. Ray nodded once. Come by my villa. Watch my stuff. I'm gonna go for a quick shower. No more photos, okay? Ryan didn't argue. Didn't say yes either. But he followed. Later inside the villa, Ray opened the door. You came, he asked. Ryan didn't speak, just stepped in. Dinner was set. Candles flickered. It looked delicious. Ryan looked around. This is nice. Ray met his eyes. It's much better with you. And then quiet. Stay the night. Ryan didn't answer, but he didn't move away either. They sat close later. Too close for silence to stay casual. Their eyes held, and then they leaned in. Slow, breeze meeting breath. Almost. Ryan's phone lit up. A name. Minjae. A question. Are you still in Bali? Everything inside him stalled. Everything outside stayed still. Sorry, he whispered. Ray said nothing, just watched. And that was the beginning. Not the kiss, not the splash, not even the swapped bags, but this. The moment where something could have happened and didn't. Same name, wrong bag, Chapter 2. The towel was slung low at his waist. The first light of morning crept in through the window, pale and quiet. He moved like someone used to mornings, not rushing, just existing inside them. Across the room, Ryan laid curled beneath the blanket, not sleeping, just waiting. He listened to the brushing, the breeze, the stillness. There was something strange and soft about waking up like this, as if this space had always known both of them. Ray passed by the bed and stopped. At the small table, he set down a folded pink polo. His hand lingered just a second longer than it needed to. The coffee machine hissed, a low, mechanical gurgle. Ryan blinked awake, stretching slow. His body still warm from sleep. Ray walked back in, hair damp, holding 2 mugs. "You're up early," Ryan murmured. Ray smiled. "Thought I'd make us something before the road gets crowded." He nodded toward the pink shirt. "You can wear one of mine. We're the same size." Ryan didn't respond right away. He sat up, glancing at the folded shirt, then at Ray. The offer wasn't just about clothing. It was about space, trust. Outside, Ray already started his motorbike, helmet already on. Ryan stepped out, wearing the shirt. It fit him. Light, unfamiliar, but not uncomfortable. Their eyes met. "You're serious about this early thing?" Ryan teased. Ray grinned. "Hop on. I'm not carrying you." They rode into the mist. The villa disappeared behind them. The carved steps of Lampuyang Temple were shrouded in fog. Ray walked ahead, camera strap around his neck. Ryan followed slower, his feet finding their pace. The temple was enormous, sacred, unfamiliar. "Do we need to wear the sarong now?" he asked quietly. "It's temple grounds," Ray said, without looking back. "Kind of a rule." Ryan looked down at the offering tray beside the gate. Rice, a tiny chili, incense, smoke rising like breath. He didn't understand the rituals, but he understood silence. A few moments later, he stepped into the gates, now wearing a borrowed sarong. The stone towers framed him. Ray knelt, lowering the camera. Ryan turned. "The sun isn't up yet. That's the best part," Ray replied. They sat on the steps afterward, just above the central platform. Ray turned the camera towards Ryan, showing the screen. The image was quite soft. The golden light blooming between the gates made Ryan look like he belonged to something older than both of them. He blinked. "You're right," Ryan said. "It looks great." Ray didn't look over. "Come on, let's grab breakfast." At a roadside warung, Ray ordered like a local. Ryan hovered awkwardly until the food arrived. One dish red with spice, the other pale and calm. He took a bite of the red, coughed hard. "This isn't breakfast." Ray laughed. "It is in Bali." Without a word, Ray slid the middle dish across. Ryan hesitated, then accepted it. Their eyes met across the table. Nothing playful this time, just something steady. "Not used to heat?" Ray asked. "Not this kind." Ryan replied. Later they rode along the cliffs. Ryan's arm slipped around Ray's waist, just enough to hold. The lookout opened wide. Ray lifted his camera. Ryan turned, caught in mid-motion, not quite ready. Hey, try to smile, Ray called out. Ryan didn't answer. He just did. The shutter clicked. In the photo, Ryan, backlit by the sunlight, not fully smiling, but undeniably there. Ray pulled up outside Ryan's villa, helmet off, hair loose, eyes scanning. The door opened. Ryan stood in the frame, not startled, but not ready either. How did you know? Ray shrugged. You came this way when we met. Ryan didn't answer, but he stepped aside. Inside, Ray leaned against the hallway, bag slung on one shoulder. I've got something planned for tonight. A pause. Pack a few things. Ryan stood still, then moved. He zipped the bag slowly. The sound felt louder than it should have. Ray sat on the bed, camera in his lap. When Ryan came back, now in a yellow shirt, Ray looked up. You look much better in yellow. On the bed, the pink polo folded. The rooftop bar was golden in the late light. Ray walked in like he's been there before. Ryan followed, slower, watching. Tama, the bartender, appeared, all ease and confidence. He greeted Ray like an old rhythm. Shall I bring your favorite as usual? You know what I like, Ray replied, leaning on the bar. Ryan didn't interrupt. He didn't belong in this memory. They found a table, 2 drinks between them. Ryan leaned forward. Everyone seems to know you here. Ray raised an eyebrow. Getting jealous? The question lended light, but it wasn't a joke. Ryan didn't answer, not with words. Their candle flickered between them, and something in the air shifted again. The night didn't rush them. You can ask me, you know. Ryan looked up. Ray's voice was softer now. If I'm still looking. The question hung in the air. It wasn't a trap, just an opening. Ryan's eyes dropped to the flickering candlelight between them. The warmth of the rooftop had changed, from golden to something more fragile. Ray leaned back in his chair, casual, but his eyes stayed steady, waiting. Ryan took another breath. Are you? Ray didn't miss a beat. No, not anymore. The honesty lended with a quiet weight. They didn't toast dramatically, just a soft clink. 2 glasses tapping gently. No blink, no smile, just held. Ray extended his hand across the table, fingers open. Ryan stared for a moment, unsure if it was an invitation or a challenge, or even maybe both. He reached forward, took it. They walked slowly, silhouetted by a warm rooftop lights behind them, their fingers still barely linked. The city lit beneath them, glowing and small. One bulb flickered behind them as they disappeared into the stairwell. The night stretched forward like an open path. Beneath the stars, the pool shimmered like memory. They were in the pool again. Night had fallen. Lights shimmered across the surface. The water was warm. Ray and Ryan faced each other, waist deep. Candlelight floated nearby in small ceramic bowls. Ray flicked water at Ryan. Ryan laughed, then splashed back. A small war broke out, their laughter echoing off the stone walls of the villa. Then, Ray stilled. The moment shifted. He tilted his head. Are you good at holding your breath? Ryan blinked, then smiled, a little nervously. He nodded. Ray dove first. Beneath the surface, everything muted. The water folded over him like silk. Ryan followed. Their bodies floated, close, almost touching. They found each other, slow, suspended, weightless. Their fingers brushed. Ray moved first. Lips met lips. A kiss, slow and calm. Surrounded by flickering lights and bubbles rising between them. They surfaced together. Neither said a word. They didn't need to. The world above hadn't changed, but they had. And now, they both knew it. Ray and Ryan sat quietly by the pool. The night air wrapped around them, warm but edged with stillness. I don't want this night to end, Ryan said, his voice soft. Ray looked over. Concern flickered across his expression, but he didn't say anything at first. Just stepped forward and extended a hand. Come back to my room. Water still dripped from his fingertips. Ryan hesitated, looking down at the hand like it's carried weight. Then he reached out. The light of the villa flickered softly as they approached the door. One step, then another. Inside, the world quieted. The night folded in. Ray stepped in first, slow, like an offering. Ryan followed. Two swim trunks dropped beside each other. A detail the room wouldn't remember, but they would. On the floor, Ryan's phone buzzed. He didn't pick it up. He didn't notice. He didn't hear. In the soft light, Ray moved closer. Their foreheads almost touched. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. When their lips met again, it wasn't hesitant. They kissed slowly, as if confirming what the pool had started. Each touch deliberate, exploring, trusting. Ray guided Ryan gently back towards the bed. Their bodies moved without a rush, finding a shared rhythm. The room was filled with half whispers, breathe, fabric shifting, soft gasp that never needed translations. They touched each other, like unwrapping something long waited for. When they made love, it wasn't about urgency. It was about being known. Not every moment was graceful, but every pause held meaning. Hands traced passes no one else had memorized. Mouses learned the shape of silence. At one point, Ryan laughed, quiet, disbelieving, and Ray kissed him to keep it. Later they lay tangled, skin warm against skin. Outside, the tea lights floated in the pool. A single ripple passed. Then everything stilled again. The question hadn't really been, "Are you still looking?" It was, "Have you already found something?" And quietly, without saying it, they both had. Same name, wrong bag. Chapter 3. The kind of morning where nothing hurts. Ryan lay diagonally across the bed, the blanket barely covering his legs, one foot slipping free, like it had found its own escape. His robe had fallen open at the collar. The curtain moved like breath, slow and constant, casting gentle waves of shadow across his bare shoulder. Outside, birds had begun their layered song, not loud, but persistent. Inside, the sound blended with the hush of the breeze and the rhythm of Ryan's deep, even breath. There was something quiet in his stillness, not asleep, not fully awake, just resting in the moment. In the villa's small bathroom, Ray stood beneath the shower. The water poured steadily across his back, trailing over the curves of his shoulders. He tilted his face into the spray, eyes closed. When he opened them again, the morning light had begun to soften. He smiled faintly to himself, like a thought had just landed, and he didn't mind where it came from. A few minutes later, Ray stepped back into the bathroom, towel wrapped low at his waist. His hair was wet, curling slightly at the ends. Without a word, he picked up a pillow and tossed it toward the bed. The pillow landed with a soft thump on Ryan's stomach. Ryan stirred with a small gasp, his eyes opening as his body tensed, then relaxed as he exhaled a surprised laugh. He pulled his arm over his face, half shielding his expression. "Get ready," Ray said, a teasing smirk in his voice. "We've got plans." The bathroom mirror fogged gently as both of them stood side by side. Ryan brushed his teeth with slight urgency, not rushed, but not lingering either. Ray stood beside him, shaving with practiced ease. They bumped elbows once. Neither said sorry, neither moved. Ray looked over, not directly, just a glance that lingered a half second longer than needed. "If I kiss you now," Ray said, voice quiet but deliberate, "would you taste like mint?" Ryan froze mid-motion, toothbrush still in his mouth. His eyes flicked to Ray in the mirror. Trying not to react, he failed. A flush of surprise crossed his face. Ray kept shaving, expression unreadable. Moments later, Ryan walked out with a towel thrown over his shoulder. 2 toothbrushes, 1 cup. The wind along the coastal road pressed their shirts to their backs. Ray steered the motorbike with an ease confidence, helmet snug, posture loose. Ryan sat behind him, arms wrapped lightly around. Not tight, just enough to say I'm here. At one point, he leaned forward slightly, resting his chin just behind Ray's shoulder. The contact was brief, but it meant something, a touch of trust, a wordless ease. They pulled up near the temple, Uluwatu, carved from stone and legend, rising like a crown above the cliffs. The motorbike slowed to a gentle halt near the lower steps. The air here was sharper, saltier, filled with steady rhythm of waves crashing far below. Unlike the lush inland temples, Uluwatu stood alone, not just a structure, but a sentinel of the sea. The path leading upward twisted slightly, narrow and uneven, its stones warmed by the day, and worn smooth by centuries of bare feet. The temple wasn't built for visitors, not really. It had been shaped for the wind and the gods, stretched out over the cliff's edge as if reaching toward some ancient answer in the horizon. Beneath them, the ocean struck against the stone wall of the cliff in slow, echoing bursts, not violent, just relentless. It gave the illusion that the entire temple floated between sky and sea. Ray walked ahead, the camera strap slung across his chest. Ryan followed, slightly behind, his pace slower, not because he was tired, but because everything felt heavier here, older and more real. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It wasn't reverent. Ryan stopped briefly, watching it disappear. Ray turned his head slightly, catching Ryan's expression. Curious, present. Favorite food? Go, Ray said. Ryan blinked. That's what you want to know first? Ray smiled. Important stuff. Ryan's answer didn't come right away, but his smile lingered. Something was shifting, not in what they said, but in how easily they could say it. They reached the offering tray, woven palm leaves, and the cone of rice resting quietly atop a stone ledge. A few sticks of incense sent thin smoke. Ryan slowed. He bent forward slightly, studying the way the smoke lifted, not as an observer, but as someone trying to understand a language he didn't speak. His phone vibrated in his pocket. He pulled it out and saw Minja's name on the screen. A message. I really need you, Ryan. I'm so sorry. Ryan didn't respond. He stared at the screen a little longer than necessary. Then he turned it off and slipped the phone back into his pocket. Ray's voice called back casually, not aware of any interruption. Gonna hit the toilet. Be right back. Ryan nodded, and then silence again. Until someone else stepped into the frame. An older man, barefoot and dressed in plain saffron robes, approached without a sound. A monk, face calm, movement slow. He sat beside Ryan without asking, folding his legs, placing his hands in his lap. They didn't speak, not at first. Together, they watched the horizon, the sky softening towards gold, the ocean stretching out like a mirror too big to fill. Then the monk spoke. His voice was low, aged, resonant. You can measure the sea's depth, but who truly knows the heart? Ryan stayed still. You carry something quiet, the monk continued. Let it speak when the wind is soft, not when it shouts. The monk placed one hand gently on Ryan's shoulder. It wasn't a gesture of blessing or farewell. It was simply presence. And then, just as quietly, he stood and walked away. Ryan stayed seated, his phone still untouched. The ocean kept moving below them, like something waiting for a response. Ray walked slowly back toward the overlook, wiping his hands with a towel. Brian stood at the railing, eyes on the ocean. He didn't turn. Ray stepped beside him, not crowding, just arriving. You look like you just solved the mysteries of the universe, he said. Ryan let out a quiet laugh. Still figuring some things out. They stood in silence for a moment, the wind brushing past them, rustling the leaves, tugging at their clothes. The sea below crashed steady, relentless and soft. Ryan spoke again, voice lower now. It's not about you. It's me, trying to listen to the right voice inside. You don't have to tell me everything. Their hands rested on the same stone railing, close, not touching. You're already doing better than most. He paused. You're still here. And that was enough. Not an answer, not a solution, just presence. Waves exploded against the cliffs and burst below, like the island itself breathing. For a long time, neither spoke. The wind flattened the quiet. Ray leaned forward, eyes fixed on the horizon. His voice, when it came, was barely louder than the sea. What makes you stay? Ryan didn't move right away. His eyes followed a ribbon of fading light across the ocean's surface. My flight's tomorrow, he said finally, not regretfully, just plainly, like a fact he already tried to make peace with. Ray didn't respond. He just stayed beside him. Still got time. Brian turned his head, meeting his eyes for a moment, not surprised, just open. And for a second, the wind slowed. Not everything lost, but this quiet choosing was theirs, and they both felt it. That night, everything was quieter. Outside the villa, Ray sat on his scooter, helmet resting in his lap. Ryan stood just inside the gate, arms folded loosely across his chest. Can I see you tomorrow morning? Ray asked. Ryan hesitated, shifted his weight. I should pack, he said. I need to get things together, he added, more softly. And I should do it myself. Ray didn't argue, just nodded. Ryan turned to go. Can I get a hug? Ray asked, voice quieter now. Ryan turned back and gave a hug. Good night, Ray said. The gate swung shut gently behind him. A single pedal drifted past his handlebars. The scooter engine never started. He sat there longer than he needed to. Just not ready to leave. Inside, Ryan packed in silence. The suitcase lay half open. His phone glowed. A text from Minjae. You're coming tomorrow, right? Then dimmed. No reply. Across the compound, Ray stood near the window, the phone in his palm. He typed, Feels weird without you tonight. Ryan saw it on his phone beside the sink. He didn't answer. He placed the phone face down. There was only one toothbrush in the cup now. Neither of them moved. Neither of them reached. And in that shared, quiet distance, they were still connected. Not a goodbye, not a fight. Just the ache of something they didn't know how to hold. Same name, wrong bag. Chapter 4. The morning didn't break. It unfolded. The villa grounds were hushed, still damp from dew. Trees arched lazily overhead, their white flowers scattered like forgotten confessions. One petal, freshly falling, lay near Ray's foot. He didn't move. He just stood there. His black shirt clung lightly to him. His striped shorts rustled faintly in the breeze. He didn't shift his weight from one foot to the other. He simply waited. Inside the room, behind the thick wooden door, Ryan stirred. Not fully awake, not fully asleep, somewhere in between, resting in that quiet limbo. where dream starts to soften, and the body begins to remember its morning. The door opened. No dramatic sound, no sudden shift. Ryan stood there, his expression unreadable, not confused, not startled, just quiet. Then, without words, Ray stepped forward, his arm wrapped around Ryan, not tightly, not with urgency, but slowly, like he was trying to hold the air around them in place. Ryan didn't move at first. He just stood there. Then he raised his arms and returned the hug. "Thank you," Ryan said. Ray nodded, his face just brushing Ryan's shoulder. The suitcase sat in the corner. The text still read, R. Kim. He just sat down on the bed, legs folded, palms resting on the comforter, like he needed to ground himself. Ryan moved differently now. Slower, looser, not performative, but careful in a different way, like he knew Ray was watching. And he didn't mind. Eventually, Ryan lay down again, fully stretched across the bed, his head resting in Ray's lap. Ray's fingers moved through his hair, one strand at a time. The kind of gesture you don't offer strangers. Ryan's eyes were closed. His mouth was relaxed. One hand lay across his chest. "You can rest. I've got you." Ryan didn't nod, didn't answer, but he softened, just enough that Ray felt it. The way a shoulder gives in, the way breath evens out. Then, a buzz. The phone on the nightstand lit up. Ray didn't move. He didn't reach for it. He only looked at it long enough to know it wasn't his. Then he looked back down at Ryan, and something in his chest shifted. He gently, wordlessly, pulled Ryan up from his lap. The silence between them was no longer quiet. Their foreheads touched once, then parted again. Ray's kiss came later, not dramatic, not intense, just a kiss like a question and an answer. Ryan turned slightly in the same seated position, his back still against Ray, but now angled. Their lips met gently, eyes closed, breasts still shared. When they parted, it was Ryan who spoke first. "You made it feel easy." Ray swallowed. Ryan blinked, looked away, but his hand reached up to Ray's cheek. Ray followed it. They held each other's faces, like bookends on a shelf about to close. And then slowly, Ryan stood. He turned away. Ray didn't follow, didn't rise. He only watched. Ryan moved to the suitcase in the corner, then stood still. Ryan turned back, face unreadable. He gripped the suitcase handle. It clicked. "Thank you for all of it. Take care." Their journey split at midday. Ray rode the coastal road, the wind clawing gently at his shirt. His face was still. The helmet strap brushed his jaw. Behind him, the cliffs dropped into an endless sea. Ryan sat in a car, silent. The world passed in a reflection of tinted glass. His hand folded on his lap. He didn't check his phone. He didn't need to. At the airport, Ryan stood still before the wide window. The gate announcement echoed, but his mind was quiet. Across the island, Ray entered his villa. It looked the same, but the stillness was heavier now. He dropped the helmet on the table, then dropped himself on the bed. Face down, and a sigh escaped. The room absorbed it. That's how the afternoon passed. Not with grief, not with distraction, just stillness. The next morning, Ray left the villa before the heat could rise. He didn't check the time, didn't say out loud where he was going. He just rode, past the markets, past the villas. He parked near the temple and walked in slowly. The lotus pond shimmered faintly in the light. A few dragonflies danced over the surface. At the end of the path, a woman was placing flowers into a woven tray. Ray slowed. He watched her, not intruding, just noticing. A rhythm to her hands, a stillness in her shoulders. When he stepped closer, he opened his mouth to speak. "Can I?" The woman didn't look at him directly. Her voice was soft, steady, already answering. "If it's meant to be, it won't run far." Ray didn't reply, just stood there, hands still, breast quiet. Then he knelt beside the altar, placed a single flower of his own, lit one incense stick. The smoke curled upward like a question released. He bowed his head, not as a wish, not even a goodbye, just a gesture, permission. His eyes closed, and then a memory returned. Just before Ryan left, Ray remembered the weight of Ryan's head, resting just below his chin. They had sat like that in silence. Ryan leaning back into him, eyes closed, chest rising and falling. Ray hadn't said anything. He had just tightened his arm slightly, not to convince Ryan to stay, but because he knew, deep down, that this was the last moment. And then Ryan's phone had buzzed. A text from Minje. "I'll be waiting at the gate when you arrive." Back in the present, Ray sat at the temple gate, unmoving. He hadn't meant to cry, but the tear came anyway. Just one. It slid down the side of his face without resistance. He didn't wipe it away. And that was enough. The temple stayed quiet long after he'd left. By the time Ray returned to his villa, the sun had climbed halfway across the sky. He didn't linger. He packed slowly, carefully, like someone preserving something already lost. And the next morning, with no ceremony, no noise, he made his way to the airport. He stood in a line at the airport baggage drop. Headphones rested around his neck, his black suitcase by his side. He looked calm, collected. But inside, something was still trying not to rewind. At the counter, he lifted the bag onto the conveyor, watched it roll away. The tag flipped once. R. Kim. He stood there until the belt cleared. And then, a flicker of memory. The beginning. The first time it had felt like nothing. Just a bag, a tag, a quiet assumption. Until he unzipped it, and the wrong shirt spilled out. A press button down, too clean, too structured, not his. He had blinked confused, then tucked inside the side pouch a business card. Ryan Kim, copywriter. He hadn't known the face or the voice, just the name. Back then, it had been curiosity. Now, holding the same card at the gate, it was something else. Something he wasn't ready to name, but wasn't willing to leave behind. He slid it into his pocket, carefully, precisely, not to forget, to carry forward. At the gate, he paused once more, looked out the window. The sky outside was wide and soft. Morning light brushed everything in gold. Then he moved, headphones on, shoulders steady. He walked down the corridor without turning back. The plane rose, no words left behind, no messages waiting. What began by mistake stayed. The end. So yeah, that was the end of Same Name, Wrong Bag. Some start with a noise, some with silence. This one began with a bag. You've just carried something that was never meant to be loud, but was always meant to be felt. If it stayed with you, even a little, maybe leave a like or subscribe so you'll find the next one when it arrives. There are more stories. And if you got stories of your own, quiet ones, missed chances, accidental, almost loves, I'm listening. Thanks for choosing to stay with this one.